Three-man rush, long throw, back shoulder, one-on-one.
The NFL Draft is one of the most important events of the football year. It's when teams get to reload with new talent and when bad teams have hope of turning it around and getting better results. But getting a high pick in the draft isn't a given. The worst team in the NFL is the one that gets the top pick, and this time there's a big-time talent waiting for whichever team picks first. In this video, we'll look at the teams in the hunt for Trevor Lawrence. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Why Trevor Lawrence is a big-time prospect? Well, before we get into the list, it's worth explaining why Lawrence is such a big-name prospect in the first place. After all, there are top college quarterbacks coming into the NFL every year. What makes Lawrence different from the rest of the pack? Well, right now, his college performances are eclipsing even top quarterbacks from other years. He was the top recruit in the country when he came out of high school and was immediately competitive at Clemson, who already had a top-tier team and dangerous quarterback in Kelly Bryant. But Bryant's game wasn't enough to stop Lawrence, who took the starting job in a fierce position battle and then went on to win the national championship game against perennial powerhouse Alabama. Any player to pull that off in his freshman year would be a big deal to NFL scouts, but Lawrence went above and beyond expectations and only improved his performances during the coming seasons. He passed for more than 3,600 yards during his sophomore year, which was an improvement over his first year as a college quarterback. Lawrence has also been on pace for a historically good 2020 season, and this combination of factors makes him one of the most sought-after prospects in recent memory. There are not a ton of players in football that are considered worth tanking for, but Lawrence is one of them based on how things have gone during the first part of the 2020 college season. But what teams are actually in the running? The New York Giants. Well, the New York Giants already drafted their quarterback of the future, but it remains to be seen if Daniel Jones is really the man for them. The team's rebuild isn't going well, and current GM Dave Gettleman has some of the worst results in franchise history after being fired from the Carolina Panthers and joining the Giants. The Giants have some of the biggest expectations in the league thanks to their spot in the biggest media market in the country, and the organization may feel the need to start their rebuild again from the bottom by drafting Lawrence if they have the chance. The other alternative is waiting more years for Gettleman's plan to play out, and contracts for major players like Saquon Barkley mean the Giants don't have an unlimited window to start winning before the salary cap and free agency pull their roster apart. But thanks to the team's 0-5 start for the 2020 season, Gettleman is on the hot seat more than most general managers in the league. It seems unlikely Gettleman will get through the season with his job intact. At quarterback, Daniel Jones is one of the most high-profile picks Gettleman made during his tenure. If the Giants do make a change at the top, it's not out of the question to say they might move on from some of Gettleman's picks also, including Jones, who to some looks less promising than Trevor Lawrence at this point. The Giants ended up in this position through a combination of natural decline and poor team building ever since their last Super Bowl win. The franchise didn't open the checkbook to bring in more big-name talent until after two-time Super Bowl winning head coach Tom Coughlin had already been pushed out, but by then it was too late. The team has been mediocre to bad over the course of most of the 2010s, and a new rebuild spearheaded by a top QB prospect by Lawrence could restore some enthusiasm and hope that this rebuild is the one. Of course, all this assumes that the Giants have the number one overall pick when the season is over. There are other competitors for that pick, including the other team that plays at MetLife Stadium and represents New York City, the New York Jets. While the New York Giants fell from grace after their last victory in the Super Bowl, the Jets didn't reach that height in the 2010s in the first place. Famously, the team's best results in recent memory came when they made the AFC Championship in back-to-back years with Mark Sanchez, but the Sanchez era has been over for a while now, and the Jets haven't gotten much better. Right now, it's believed that the Jets head coach Adam Gase is in over his head with this job, and that he'll be one of the first coaches fired during the offseason, even if he has his job at that point. The Vegas betting odds have made him the most likely to be fired, and the Jets have had bad results both on the field and on the team-building side of things in 2020. One of the worst moves the Jets made was getting rid of former All-Pro running back Le'Veon Bell while getting nothing in return. Bell underperformed with the Jets and wasn't exactly an All-Pro running back while with the team, yes, but some of the blame for that has fallen on the shoulders of Adam Gase himself, who has become the man to blame for a lot of things surrounding the Jets. Gase has been accused of ruining Bell through his poor coaching, but even worse than that, Bell was quickly picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs, the same Kansas City Chiefs that are the defending Super Bowl champions. Obviously, if Bell goes on to win a Super Bowl with this very good Kansas City team, Jets are going to feel a bit cheated after their own team failed to get much out of the player. They have their own promising young quarterback just like the Giants, but they're in a rather similar situation. While the Jets took Sam Darnold with the top 5 draft pick, they knew he had some problems coming out of USC. And while Darnold hasn't been the worst player to quarterback for the Jets, he's also not the best. Don't expect the Jets to stick with their existing talent if they have a chance to upgrade by taking Trevor Lawrence with the top pick instead, assuming they finish at the bottom. Then there's the Washington football team. We have to go back to the NFC East for this one because one of the regional rivals of the New York Giants is also a competitor for the number 1 overall pick. This isn't a new situation either. In the same draft where the Giants selected tackle Andrew Thomas, Washington selected big-name pass rusher Chase Young from Ohio State. The Giants were in need of a pass rusher at the time and would have been in position to take Young for themselves if it wasn't for their win against Washington late in the season, shaking up things in the draft order. But now that Washington has a big-time prospect on defense, they have other problems to figure out, and quarterback is one of their first and foremost problems. While Dwayne Haskins came into the season as the starting quarterback, he was ultimately moved to the wayside as the team started 1-3 in his first 4 starts to begin the season. They have other options on their roster, but none of them are really considered good ones. There's Kyle Allen, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, but his performance with the team wasn't great statistically, which resulted in his trade to Washington in the first place. Alex Smith is an option, but his style of play has never been one to excite fans, and his age and former injury make him a very tough sell. After all, there aren't many quarterbacks still in the league that are 36 years old, and Alex Smith is no Tom Brady. If they manage to get the first pick of the draft, it looks like a certainty that Washington is going to spend it on Trevor Lawrence, because really, who else would they spend it on? Haskins was taken in the first round of the draft previously, but like Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold, his performance hasn't been enough to give him good job security against a consensus top prospect. Haskins looked promising enough coming out of Ohio State, but with almost as many career interceptions as touchdowns, it doesn't really look like there's a future for him in Washington as the starter if the team gets the number 1 pick. The Atlanta Falcons are in a strange spot on this list. They have their franchise quarterback in Matt Ryan, unlike the other teams on this list, but they're still one of the worst teams in the league with a record comparable to the Giants or Washington. They also don't have a permanent head coach right now. Defensive coordinator Raheem Morris has stepped up as the interim head coach following a winless start to the first 5 games and the firing of Dan Quinn, but it remains to be seen if he'll win the permanent job. Long story short, the Falcons are in a rebuild right now, and the team has fallen a lot since they were in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. It doesn't look like Ryan will be moved from his spot by a rookie, but if the Falcons do get the top pick, which isn't out of the question based on their current record, they may take Lawrence anyway. Anyways, that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.